Привет, мои друзья! Well, that's it. This is officially the end of Season 2 of Ranking Every Assassin's Marksmanship. First of all, I want to say thank you for all the views and the likes on all these videos, the long form and the shorts. We've had some awesome engagement in this season, and I hope to see what we can do in Season 3, which will be coming out in just a few weeks after a quick pause in these types of videos. We'll continue to release other types of videos until then. But before we officially call it over, let's go through a recap where we'll watch all the shorts together and we'll talk about some of the details in the long form, your comments, and anything else I've learned since then. Let's do it.
I'm rating the marksmanship of notable assassinations and finding which assassin was the best shot of all time. Today we're looking at Sergei Kirov's assassin, Leonid Nikolaev. On December 1st, 1934, Soviet Bolshevik party leader Sergei Moronovich Kirov was in Leningrad at his office in Smolny Institute. Sharing the building was Leonid Nikolaev. For unknown and highly debated reasons, Nikolaev hid near Kirov's office with a Nagant revolver. As Kirov walked down the hall, he made a turn and passed Nikolaev. Nikolaev stepped behind Kirov and shot him a single time, killing him instantly. Nikolaev, Kirov's bodyguard, and a dozen more co-conspirators were killed or executed the following weeks. Nikolaev snuck into the institute, made his way near Kirov's office, and waited for Kirov to walk by. As Kirov walked by with his bodyguard an unsafe distance behind, Nikolaev stepped behind the party leader and shot a single bullet through his neck. Due to his lethal shot placement but point-blank range, I'm placing Leonid Nikolaev's marksmanship in the D category.
Alright, we are kicking off strong with Sergei Kirov. So, of course, I love my Russian history, so I wanted to start the season off with a video that I would really enjoy making, which was Kirov's assassination. It also had bonus points because we more likely than not had the correct type of pistol for this assassination, which is the Nagant revolver, and it was a lot of fun recreating this shot. Of course, it was a point-blank assassination. He just went up, put it right on the back of Kirov's head, and shot, and that was it. So nothing super spectacular marksmanship-wise, so he did end up in the D category. Alright, on to George Rockwell.
I'm rating the marksmanship of notable assassinations and finding which assassin was the best shot of all time. Today we're looking at George Rockwell's assassin, John Patsalos. On August 25th, 1967, George Rockwell was at a laundromat in Arlington, Virginia, next to his house. Rockwell founded the American Nazi Party in 1959 and funded many black separatist movements, such as Malcolm X's. However, John Patsalos, who had been expelled from the American Nazi Party, waited in his car in front of the laundromat armed with a Mauser C96. As Rockwell walked out, Patsalos fired 2 shots, killing Rockwell immediately. Patsalos served 5 years in prison for first-degree murder. Patsalos waited in his car in front of the laundromat. As Rockwell left, Patsalos fired 2 shots through his car's windshield, hitting Rockwell once in the heart and once in the head before driving away. Due to his accuracy and mortal shot placement on 2 consecutive shots from inside the car through his windshield on a walking target, I'm placing John Patsalos' marksmanship in the S category.
Oh, George, what a controversial figure. First of all, how funny is it that he was assassinated with a Mauser C96, a German weapon, being an American Nazi? It's just kind of a little bit funny in that way. But I have done some more reading. You guys had some good comments down below. There are a few different stories associated with this assassination. The one we covered where Patler was located in the car and shot out of his windshield at Rockwell coming out of the laundromat. There's also other accounts that Patler had climbed onto the roof of the laundromat and was shooting down at Rockwell as he was coming out, or from his car. Now, I have seen pictures of the car. It looks like there are bullet holes through the windshield. If Patler was in it or if Rockwell was in it, I don't know. It sounds more likely that Rockwell was in the vehicle, but I don't know that for sure. It may be lost with history because there's so many accounts that kind of differ from each other. But either way, I think either of those shots warrant an S rank for their marksmanship because you're going through the windshield either way, which does a lot of crazy stuff with the ballistics of the bullet. Not necessarily marksmanship based, but a good marksman may know that ahead of time, and that will help them make that shot better.
I'm rating the marksmanship of notable assassinations and finding which assassin was the best shot of all time. Today we're looking at Klaus Grabowski's assassin, Marion Bachmeier. On the morning of March 6, 1981, Klaus Grabowski and Marion Bachmeier were in a courtroom in Lübeck, Germany. Grabowski was on trial for the assault and murder of Bachmeier's 7-year-old daughter Anna. The trial had been going for several days when Bachmeier smuggled in a .32 ACP Beretta 70. When an opportunity arose, Bachmeier stood up and fired 7 shots at Grabowski. Bachmeier was apprehended peacefully and served 3 years in prison. As the trial began for the day, Bachmeier found an opportunity where she stood up and fired 7 shots at Grabowski, who was seated near the front of the courtroom. Of the 7 shots, 6 hit him in the back. Due to Bachmeier's accuracy and lethality on Grabowski, ability to not injure anyone else in the courtroom, and ability to get all 7 shots off, but considering the short range, I'm placing Bachmeier's marksmanship in the A category.
Mariana Bachmeier, what an awesome story. Now, she had her faults as a mother, there's no doubt about that, but her motherly instincts did kick in at the right moment, and she took out the trash. She's probably right up there with Gary Plauché in the, parental instincts protecting their children from these awful people. Very popular story. She has a movie all about that. So check that out if you want. And also, what a great choice of firearm. She used the Beretta Model 70. I have the 70S here. Beautiful weapon. It was a ton of fun to shoot. It was actually my first time, I think, shooting a Beretta I owned, so I could get a little bit more time with it. It is a really fun weapon. Now, onto the shot. We don't know all the fine details of the shot, but what we do know is she came up to the court, she revealed her weapon, aimed at the perp, and shot him in the back from some unknown distance away. Could have been a very long room, could have been a smaller room, we just don't know. But what this means is because of that uncertainty, because of the accuracy, because of the lethality, she gets an A.
I'm rating the marksmanship of notable assassinations and finding which assassin was the best shot of all time. Today we're looking at Huey Long's assassin, Carl Weiss. On the evening of September 8th, 1935, after a long day's work at the Louisiana State Capitol, Senator and former Governor Huey Long was leaving. Waiting for him by the exit was Carl Weiss, a family member of Benjamin Pavey, who had essentially just lost his job through legislature that Long worked to get passed. Weiss concealed a FN Model 1910, stepped in front of Long, and shot him a single time. Long's bodyguard shot back at Weiss, striking him over 60 times. Long hailed a cab to take him to a hospital. Long died 31 hours after the attack. Weiss waited near the exit of the Capitol building. As Long approached the exit, Weiss stepped out in front of Long and fired a single shot, hitting Long in the abdomen from 4 feet away. Due to the non-immediate fatal shot placement and near point-blank range, I'm placing Carl Weiss's marksmanship in the D category.
Huey Long, American politician and strong-arm leader. Strong-armed is the key word there. So many people loved him, but that many people and more probably hated him, including Dr. Carl Weiss. Now, I really love the conversation that happened down in the comments here. There's a lot of conspiracies that went with this assassination. Some people saying that it was a hit, some people saying that Huey actually wasn't hit by Dr. Weiss, but instead took some friendly fire from his bodyguards. Whatever it may have been, Dr. Carl Weiss got the job done. He didn't survive it, so he doesn't care one way or another, and Huey Long was gone. Now, Dr. Carl Weiss used the very popular choice for assassins, the FN Model 1910. We'll see this again later this season as well. It's a very slick gun. I mean, it really is a very concealable weapon for this, and got the job done. Of course, nothing very special about this shot. Dr. Carl Weiss got up close to Huey Long, pointed the gun right at him, put a couple shots straight into him, and that was the end of Huey Long. So that puts him in the D category. Now, this is a good excuse for me to explain this rating system once again. Remember, this is ranking every assassin's marksmanship. We are not rating every assassin's assassination skills. We're not looking at their sneakiness. We're not looking at their escape plans. We're not looking at their ability to evade or whatever it may be. We are purely looking at this from a marksmanship ability. If you had to repeat this shot, either under pressure or not under pressure, how good of a marksman did that shot make you? So yes, did Dr. Carl Weiss make a very bad assassin because he got mowed down? Yes. Let's think of another example. Was James Earl Ray a good assassin because he took the shot and escaped and evaded for so long? Yes, but we aren't looking at their skill as an assassin. We're looking at it once again from a marksmanship side. So keep that in mind as we think about these ratings, where yes, even though it was a point-blank shot and he ran away and he was never seen again like Olaf Palme, it doesn't make him a good assassin. It does make him a good assassin. It doesn't make him a good marksman, because I think if you were to give a firearm to, anyone who has basic safety training and say, hey, here's a target 3 feet away from you, can you put three shots right into their chest? 99 out of 100 of those will be able to do so. All right, now let's roll Tupac Shakur.
I'm rating the marksmanship of notable assassinations and finding which assassin was the best shot of all time. Today we're looking at Tupac Shakur's assassin, Duane Davis. On the night of September 7th, 1996, Tupac Shakur was on his way to a concert in Las Vegas, Nevada. Earlier, Shakur attended a Mike Tyson fight where a gang-related brawl occurred. Following Tupac was Duane Davis and Orlando Anderson, members of the rival gang. As Tupac's driver stopped at a red light, Davis and Anderson stopped beside them. Davis drew his Glock 22 and started blasting, striking Tupac 4 times. Tupac was taken to a hospital, placed in a coma, and died 6 days later. Davis was seated in the back seat when his car pulled up next to Tupac's. Davis fired at least 11 shots at Tupac in another car. Davis hit Tupac twice in the chest and one in his arm and leg. Due to Davis's low accuracy rate, stationary target, and short range, I'm placing Davis's marksmanship in the C category.
This was a really fun video to make, actually. Shooting from a vehicle, stagnant or moving, is just a ton of fun. This was my first time shooting from a vehicle. It was stagnant in this case. I have done a little bit of training with some friends as well, going from the back of a vehicle. It is a lot of fun if you haven't tried it before. Of course, be safe about it, but there's a new aspect of shooting as you're moving, the target's, stationary. It just makes you think a little bit more, which can be a lot of fun. And as Duane Davis showed us, it requires a lot more skill. Even though he was static, if not maybe moving a little bit right after the first couple shots, I think they'd probably start to move. Just getting that position inside the vehicle requires some skill. It requires some practice, really, to be able to do well. So Duane Davis used a Glock, of course. I've got a Glock here. He points it out the window, fires some shots at a very close range. I mean, it's one car over. He's on the driver's side. Tupac is on the passenger side. So you're really not much beyond an arm's length away from that person. But he just didn't hit that many shots. Of course, he gets extra points because of that moving. He gets extra points because of the unusual position. And he did get the job done. And so, all in all, that puts Duane Davis's marksmanship in the C category. All right, but now let's look at Andrew Jackson's attempted assassination.
I'm rating the marksmanship of notable assassinations and finding which assassin was the best shot of all time. Today we're looking at President Andrew Jackson's attempted assassin, Richard Lawrence. On January 30th, 1835, 7th President of the United States, Andrew Jackson, was walking outside the U.S. Capitol Rotunda. President Jackson was coming to attend the funeral of Congressman Warren Davis. However, Richard Lawrence waited near the pillars of the Capitol with 2 derringers. As the president walked by, Lawrence suffered 2 misfires, resulting in a failed assassination attempt. Lawrence was found to be insane and was institutionalized for the rest of his life. Lawrence waited behind a pillar of the Capitol building, and as President Jackson approached, he stepped out and attempted to fire a single shot at the president. The derringer misfired, so Lawrence took out another derringer from his pocket and fired again, once again misfiring. Due to his point-blank range as well as the failure to fire off a shot, I'm placing Lawrence's marksmanship in the F category.
What an idiot. Straight to the F.
I'm rating the marksmanship of notable assassinations and finding which assassin was the best shot of all time. Today we're looking at Archduke Franz Ferdinand's assassin, Gavrilo Princip. On June 28, 1914, Austrian Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife were visiting Sarajevo, Bosnia and Herzegovina. In a crowd watching the motorcade was a group of 6 students, including Gavrilo Princip. The students were armed with grenades and FN Model 1910s. They spread out along the route, and after 2 backed out, and a third failed to throw a grenade close enough, Princip got his chance as the Archduke's car stalled. Princip ran up to the car and shot twice, killing both the Archduke and his wife. As the Archduke's car shifted to reverse, the car stalled. Princip, on the same corner, ran up to the car and fired 2 shots, one into the Archduke's neck and another into his wife's abdomen. Due to Princip's lethal shot placement, success in hitting 2 targets, but considering the near point-blank range, I'm placing Princip's marksmanship in the C category.
The shot heard around the world, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand by Gavrilo Princip. Now, this event led to a snowball of other events that would in turn lead to World War I. Now, Gavrilo Princip used the Assassin Special, that is the FN Model 1910, where he saw it once. We're going to see it again in Season 3, and there is a good reason for that. It is such a concealable gun. Like I already talked about, if someone needs to conceal a weapon, something that's easy to shoot and get a job done close range with, this is perfect. I don't like it for long range. I think the sights are very bad. But if you're going to be up close and you can do a lot of intuitive shooting, 5, 7, 10 yards, whatever it may be, this will get the job done without any issue. Now, Gavrilo didn't have that hard of a shot in terms of range. He was right on the Archduke, actually, but he was in a very unordinary position. He had hopped up on their vehicle, was balancing on the footboard, and shot into the Archduke. He killed the Archduke, went to transition to a second target, who was the governor, but he instead killed the Archduke's wife. So that means that Gavrilo Princip definitely gets a C for the assassination of the Archduke, but he'd probably get an F for the other one because he didn't kill the right target. Alright, roll Donald Trumps.
I'm rating the marksmanship of notable assassinations and finding which assassin was the best shot of all time. Today we're looking at Donald Trump's attempted assassin, Thomas Matthew Crooks. On July 13th, 2024, Donald Trump was campaigning for his second presidential term in Meridian, Pennsylvania. Overlooking the rally from a rooftop was Thomas Matthew Crooks. Crooks was armed with a DPMS Panther Arms AR-15. Despite numerous warnings about Crooks' suspicious behavior, Crooks began firing towards Trump, grazing the president's right ear, killing a bystander, and injuring 2 others. Secret Service counter-snipers quickly fired back, first disabling Crooks' weapon, and then killing him. Crooks was positioned on a first-story rooftop 450 feet to the north of Trump. He was positioned lying down and took 8 shots through his unmagnified red dot. 1 shot hit Trump's ear, while the others missed or landed amongst the crowd. Due to the longer range, use of an unmagnified optic, and respectable accuracy despite missing, I'm placing Crooks' marksmanship in the B category.
So this is the first Trump assassination by Retardy Oswald or Thomas Matthew Crooks. There is another one. We may cover it. I'm not sure exactly yet if I want to do that one or not, but we'll see. But this one, Thomas Matthew Crooks was firing from a fairly large distance away with an AR at Trump standing still while giving a rally. He, of course, came very close to majorly altering the current political landscape of the entire world, just barely missing, but he did miss at the end of the day. So it's actually interesting because usually when an assassin misses their target, they immediately get put into the F category. However, this one's different. Retardy Oswald got really, really close to hitting his target. I mean, technically he did hit his target. If he would have been 1-2 inches more over, which is only half, maybe 1 m away, he would have been successful. So we have to give him some points for that, despite him in the end failing to assassinate the president, thankfully so. So this puts him in the B category.
I'm rating the marksmanship of notable assassinations and finding which assassin was the best shot of all time. Today we're looking at Mahatma Gandhi's assassin, Nathuran Godse. On January 30th, 1948, Mahatma Gandhi was walking with his grandnieces to the lawn of the Birla House to conduct evening prayer. Hidden within the crowd coming to join Gandhi was Nathuran Godse, an Indian Hindu nationalist. Godse pushed his way through the crowd to get close to Gandhi while concealing a Beretta M1934 pistol. As Gandhi passed, Godse stepped into the walkway and fired 3 shots from point-blank range into Gandhi. Godse was immediately tackled and arrested. Gandhi died only a few hours later. As Gandhi was walking towards the lawn, Godse stepped into the walking path through the large crowd around Gandhi. Godse was able to place his pistol directly into Gandhi's stomach and fired 3 shots. Due to Godsey's point-blank range and inability to deliver an immediately fatal shot, I'm placing Godsey's marksmanship in the D category.
So just a side note here, it was during this video that I realized just how much I love these old Berettas. Now, of course, Beretta makes some pretty good handguns, but their M1934 as well as their Model 70 from earlier, they are just beautiful handguns. I really had a ton of fun making these videos just for shooting these. I really need to spend some more time with them out at the range and get comfortable with them just because they're fun and interesting. Anyway, this was a point-blank shot as well. He stepped out from the crowd, put the handgun directly into Gandhi's stomach, fired a few rounds, and that was the end of Gandhi. So we put him in the standard point-blank, did the job category, which is a D.
I'm rating the marksmanship of notable assassinations and finding which assassin was the best shot of all time. Today we're looking at Nasir al-Din Shah Qajar's assassin, Mirza Reza Karmani. It's May 1st, 1896. Nasir al-Din Shah Qajar is at the Shah Abdul Azim Shrine near Tehran, Iran, to pray. As fourth Shah of Qajar Iran, he has made pan-Islamists, such as Jamal al-Din al-Afghani, unhappy due to his foreign concessions to global superpowers such as Britain and Russia. As the Shah was praying, Mirza Reza Karmani, a follower of al-Afghani, approached the Shah and shot him a single time, possibly with a Webley revolver. The Shah died shortly after, whereas Karmani was quickly tried and executed. The Shah was kneeling to pray when Karmani approached him and fired a single shot into his back. Due to Karmani's unknown but likely short range and fatal shot placement, I'm placing Karmani's marksmanship in the C category.
Now, I don't know which I did worse with, if it was this video or if it was with Zoran Djindjic's video, but I know that I suck at pronouncing words, but I've also learned that when I mispronounce these words, you guys go crazy in the comments. So if I ever need to do some engagement baiting, I'm just going to start mispronouncing words in there, and I know that 10 of you are going to be down there in the comments arguing about how to say the city name or person's name, so thanks for the extra engagement. But this one's clean cut and dry as well. He went right up behind the Shah and fired a few shots. It is unclear how far away he was. It could have been 10 feet, it could have been 40 feet. We just don't know. So he does get a little bit of extra points because of that uncertainty. We put his marksmanship in the C category, but I do want to preface that that is a very low C and very easily could have been a D depending on the range. Alright, on to Martin Luther King Jr.'s.
I'm rating the marksmanship of notable assassinations and finding which assassin was the best shot of all time. Today we're looking at Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassin, James Earl Ray. On April 4th, 1968, civil rights activist Martin Luther King Jr. was at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. As he stood on the balcony, James Earl Ray, a fugitive on the loose, was across the street with a .30-06 Remington Game Master rifle. Ray was positioned in a bathroom on the second floor of a building across the street. Ray fired a single shot, hitting King in the jaw. King was pronounced dead an hour later, while Ray fled to Europe before being captured. Ray was standing on a bathtub, aiming through a small window in the bathroom, looking over the motel. He fired a single shot from 207 feet away, striking King in the jaw, through his mouth, and into his shoulder. Due to Ray's longer range and critical hit, but considering his magnified scope and stationary target, I'm placing Ray's marksmanship in the B category.
Okay, this was by far the spiciest episode intro of all of them on the long form episode, but none of you called me out for it in the comments, so I guess I got away with it. Although, now that I'm saying that, the comments down on the George Lincoln Rockwell video, they do make a lot more sense now. Okay, Finally, we have a good long-range shot by James Earl Ray. He was positioned across the street in a bathroom, took the shot on MLK Jr., who was standing stagnant on that balcony, was obviously very successful with his shot placement, and evaded police for a long time. Not that we are counting that as anything. But because of all that, we are putting James Earl Ray in the B category.
I'm rating the marksmanship of notable assassinations and finding which assassin was the best shot of all time. Today we're looking at Ronald Reagan's attempted assassin, John Hinckley Jr. On March 30th, 1981, President Ronald Reagan had just finished giving a speech at the Washington Hilton Hotel. Waiting outside was a crowd of reporters. Hidden in that crowd was John Hinckley Jr. Hinckley was equipped with a .22 long rifle Rome RG-14 revolver and was hoping to impress actress Jodie Foster by assassinating the president. As Reagan passed, Hinckley fired 6 rounds, hitting the press secretary, a police officer, a Secret Service agent, and the president, with 2 shots missing. Reagan recovered quickly, and Hinckley was found not guilty by reason of insanity. As Reagan walked within 15 feet of Hinckley, Hinckley dropped to one knee and fired 6 shots in 1.7 seconds, striking 4 people but killing none. Due to Hinckley's close range, low accuracy, and non-lethality, I'm placing Hinckley's marksmanship in the F category.
Why does no one practice before they go do these things? It's the most surprising thing about these videos when I make them. I've talked about that in my Q&A before. These people who just go and grab a pistol and go do this crazy thing, they suck at shooting. If you just spend a few hundred rounds out at the range, 5-10 hours, you could be way more successful. Not that I want them to be. It's just mind-boggling that these people are sitting there ready to ruin their lives, but not ready to put 10 hours of investment into that decision to ruin their lives. I don't get it. But this was probably the worst marksmanship we've seen since Sirhan attempting to shoot RFK, and with a really, really crappy Rome RG-14. 22? Really? Come on. Reagan deserved better than that. But anyway, to nobody's surprise, that puts him in the F category. Alright, now let's watch Gregory Rasputin.
I'm rating the marksmanship of notable assassinations and finding which assassin was the best shot of all time. Today we're looking at Gregory Rasputin's assassin, Felix Yusupov. On December 30th, 1916, Gregory Rasputin, a mystic and faith healer for the Imperial Russian family of Tsar Nicholas II, was invited to Moika Palace by aristocrat Felix Yusupov. Yusupov and a group of nobles worried that Rasputin's mystic powers and charismatic charm over Empress Alexandra threatened the already turbulent Russian Empire. What happened next is shrouded in mystery and folklore, but what we do know, Rasputin left the Moika Palace with 3 gunshot wounds, possibly from a Nagant revolver, before being dumped into the Malaya Nevka River. After surviving 2 non-fatal gunshot wounds, Rasputin likely met his end execution style with a bullet to the forehead. Due to 2 possible failed gunshots followed by a point-blank execution, I'm placing Yusupov's marksmanship in the F category.
So first of all, I want to say that Rasputin is a very, very weird guy. If you're into history like me, you probably know all about him. But if you don't, go watch some videos on who he is as a person. I talk about it briefly in my long-form video, but there's way more details elsewhere, of course. So go check those out. He is a very, very odd duck. But anyway, Yusupov tied him up, possibly drugged him after a long night of attempting to kill him, maybe even shooting him once before. And at the very end, Yusupov just put 1 bullet straight into his head, execution style, with probably the Nagant revolver. Now, here's another one that doesn't fit our typical grading scale. Even though it was point blank and he got the job done, typically that would be a D. Of course, I'm taking off extra points because Rasputin was tied up. He was almost dead. He may have been drugged. Who knows what had happened already? It requires absolutely no skill for this one. He gets an F. Alright, Zoran Djindjic. Let's do it.
I'm rating the marksmanship of notable assassinations and finding which assassin was the best shot of all time. Today we're looking at Zoran Djindjic's assassin, Zvezdan Jovanovic. It's March 12th, 2003. Zoran Djindjic, Prime Minister of Serbia within the Republic of Yugoslavia, has just arrived at a government building to meet with Swedish Foreign Minister Anna Lindh. Djindjic, a pro-Western and hard-on-crime leader, has made many enemies, especially with Milorad Ulemek and Zvezdan Jovanovic. Jovanovic, armed with an HK G3 rifle, watched Djindjic exit his vehicle. Jovanovic fired off a single round. Djindjic died immediately, and Jovanovic was sentenced to 40 years in prison. As Djindjic was walking from his car to the entrance, Jovanovic, who was positioned in a third-story window 180 meters away, fired a single shot, striking Djindjic directly in the heart. Due to his long range, the target's lateral movement, and his precise fatal shot placement, I'm placing Yovanovic's marksmanship in the S category.
Alright, so this was an insane shot. It was the longest shot of the season by far. It may be the longest shot in this series. I don't know of one longer quite yet. Of course, point one out to me, guys. I'd love to do it. But this was a good one. Milorad Ulamek, Zvezdan Jovanovic, the Red Berets set up this assassination on the Serbian Prime Minister of Yugoslavia. One shot to the heart, got the job done from a fairly long distance. So this, of course, to no one's surprise, puts him in the S category. Alright, and so for the final episode of the season, United States civil rights activist Medgar Evers. Let's roll it.
I'm rating the marksmanship of notable assassinations and finding which assassin was the best shot of all time. Today we're looking at Medgar Evers' assassin, Byron Dila Beckwith. Shortly after midnight on June 12, 1963, Medgar Evers, a civil rights activist and NAACP field secretary, arrived home after a meeting in Jackson, Mississippi. Evers had been a target of multiple violent attacks in the past weeks. Today, Byron Dila Beckwith was positioned across the street from Evers' home, armed with an M1917 Enfield rifle. As Evers walked inside, Beckwith fired a single shot, striking Evers in his back. Evers died a couple hours later, while Beckwith lived free for almost 31 years before serving 6 years in prison. Beckwith was positioned 170 feet from Evers. As Evers was walking into his house, Beckwith fired a single .30-06 round, striking Evers directly in his back and heart. Due to his medium range, fatal shot placement, nighttime conditions, but straight on shot, I'm placing Beckwith's marksmanship in the B category.
So this is a really crazy one. I still think about how he got away with this murder for over 30 years before serving just a measly 7 years in prison as an old man. It's kind of crazy. I mean, what else are you going to do at that old anyway? You probably just sit around, watch TV. Now you get some free healthcare. You're living the dream. But anyway, he took the shot from medium distance. I mean, it was kind of low distance with that rifle, but it was the middle of the night, very low light conditions. Evers was moving directly away from him, so it wasn't the craziest shot ever, but it wasn't the easiest shot ever. And after all, he did get the job done with just one shot. So all this puts his marksmanship in the B category. Alright guys, so there is our Season 2 list. It was a lot of fun making this season. I really appreciate you guys watching these shorts and long-form videos, leaving likes, subscribing to the channel, leaving comments down below. I really enjoy conversing with you guys, hearing your conspiracy theories, hearing what you think on the shot, where I got it right, where I missed something that drastically changes it. I love to hear it all. So anyway, I look forward to Season 3. We're going to see some really cool assassinations there. It's going to be a lot of fun. But in the meantime, leave a comment down below. Tell me which one of these was your favorite to watch, and what else are we missing? Let me know who you want to see in Season 3 and beyond. Alright guys, that's all I've got for you today. I'll see you in the next one. Do svidaniya.